class we are going to learn about voice OSI model, open system interconnection model. So this OSI model established in 1947. The International Standards Organization is a multinational body dedicated to worldwide agreement on international standards. So an ISO standard that covers all aspects of network communications is the Open Systems Interconnection Model. So it was first introduced in the 1970s. So this OSI model is Open System Interconnection Model. So in this system, so how the protocols and the communication will be established, so that clearly explained in this OSI model. So in this OSI model, so mainly we are having seven layers. Those are application layer and the presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, and the data link layer, and the physical layer. So upper three layers we call the software layers, and the bottom three layers we can call it as hardware layers. So here we have to study each and every layer in today's class. So the physical layer, the lowest layer of the OSI reference model is the physical layer. So it is responsible for the actual physical connection between the devices. So the physical layer contains information in the form of bits. It is responsible for the act of all physical connection between the devices. So then it receiving the data, the layer will get the signal and received and convert into zeros and ones and send them to the data link layer, so which will put the frame back together. So the function of the physical layer is so it will sending and receiving the information. So whatever the OSI model, this model will present at the transmitter side and the receiver side. So each device has its own OSI model. So during the transmission side, the physical layer, whatever the information we are sending, so that will the physical layer will be sending the information to receiver. So at the receiver side, again that will be receives the information and that will be given to the data link layer. So the open system interconnection, so it represents how many users will be interacting within a slot, and to make the system compatible to communicate with each other. So this ISO has developed a standard, we call it as OSI. OSI is a 7-layer architecture. So the design principles of OSI reference model is so wherever different abstractions are needed, a layer has to be created. So each layer should perform a well-defined function. So whatever from sending the, already we seen the layered tasks, the layered task is so whatever we are sending the information from user to destination or sender to receiver, so that will has a specific format. So that is nothing but, so here whatever the layer task involved to sending a letter, that is we are having the higher layers and the middle layers and the lower layers. So here the sender will send, how the sender will send the information. So the sender has a proper information, so that will be written in a letter, so that will put in an envelope and dropped in a mailbox. So after that the letter is carried from the mailbox to post office, and the letter is delivered to carrier by the post office, and these will higher layers whatever at the sender. So this process will takes higher layers and the middle layers, lower layers, that will be the parcel, the information parcel will carried from the source to the destination. Again the letter is delivered from the carrier to post house. So from the whenever the parcel is take away from the sender, so the letter is delivered from the carrier to the post office. So again the letter is carried from the post office to the mailbox, and the letter is picked up, removed from the envelope and read. So finally that information will reach to the receiver. So this is the process going on to deliver the information from one end to another end, from one person to another person. So that the same thing will be happen whenever we are sending the information through electronic devices, devices. So that will be done in by using the OSI reference model. OSI reference model. So this OSI reference model has a 7-layer architecture. So in this 7-layer architecture, each layer should perform a well-defined function. So function of layer should be international standard, and to minimize the information flow across the interface. So here the number of layers should be not too large or not too small. So the features of the OSI model is so it is the in this OSI model, the big pictures of communication over a network is understandable through this OSI model. How hardware software are work together, so that is also we can consider in OSI model. So how the new technologies will be implementing within this OSI model, and how the troubleshooting is easier whenever establishing the OSI model in the devices. And next one, the future of the OSI model is how it can be used to compare basic functional relationship on a different network. So these are the OSI model. So now we have to learn the each function of the each layer, each layer. So here the first of all the physical layer, so it has the bit synchronization and bit rate control and the physical topologies and the transmission mode. So already we learned the transmission mode, that is nothing but so based by using the clock we can synchronize the information from one device to another device. And bitrate control, number of bits sent per second, how many bits will sending from the physical layer to again next receiving device of the another device. So next one, the physical topologies, those are nothing but already we seen different network topologies. Those are nothing but ring topology, bus topology. So how they arranging different devices or nodes in a network as a bus or star mesh topologies. So the main functions of the physical layer is so it is synchronize the information, and it will control the bit rate, and it will arrange the topologies, decides the topology and the information, and how the information will send from the sender device to and the receiver device in what way. That is nothing but how it will be used the transmission mode from a device to device. So next one, next function of the next layer of the OSI model is data link layer. So the functions of the data link layer is mainly it frames the data, and next one is physical addressing. So physical addressing nothing but data link layer adds physical address of the sender receiver in the header of each frame. So next function of the data link layer is it controls the error, and it controls the flow of sender to receiver, the data flow between the sender to receiver. So the data link layer, it is responsible for node to node delivery of message, and it controlling the error, and the packet received from the network layer is further divided into frames. That is nothing but framing, frames depending on frame size of network interface card. So when frame buffer is full, so it indicates stop the transmitting signal, and the switches and bridges are in data link layer. So the data link layer functions are mainly it divides whatever the information will receive from the network layer to data link layer. So it will forms framing. For example, if we are having 8-bit data, then that will be as convertible as possible. So that will frame the bits. Again, that will be divided into 2 bits or 3 bits or 4 bits. So based on the size or requirement of the information, so that will the data link layer will framing the bits. So next one is network layer. Next one is network layer. So the network layer the network layer works for the transmission of data from one host to the other located in different network. It also take care of packet routing, selection of the shortest path to transmit the packet from the number of routes available. So the sender and the receiver IP address is replaced in the header by network layer. So here coming next slide, we having each and detail of each layer functionality. So this is the interaction between the layers in the OSI model. So here we have device A is call it as sender, and the device B is call it as receiver. So at the top to bottom, so here application layer is the top layer and the physical layer is the bottom layer. So and sender to first of all, the interaction or sending the information will starts from application to physical layer. So application, presentation, session, transport, network, and the data link layer physical. So application is nothing but, so we are using which type of device to interact the information within the layer. So after that presentation layer decides so in what format the information the data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per the required format to transmit over the network. So the main functions of the presentation layer are so translation and the encryption and decryption and the compression. So translation is nothing but it converts ASCII to EBCDIC format. That means if we are so we are presenting the information in the PPT, and the WORD will be different. WORD file is different and the PPT file is different. So in what format the information will be suitable for that specific information. So the presentation in translation that will convert from one format to another format. And encryption and decryption is nothing but data decryption translates the data into another form or code. The encrypted data is known as the ciphertext, and the decrypted data is known as plain text. And the key value is used for encrypting as well as decrypting data. So it is simply, I can say about this, it is encoding information. It is nothing but so we are coding and decoding the data. So that will one of the responsibility of presentation layer. So next one compression. So compression is also done in the presentation layer. So that is nothing but it reduces the number of bits that needed to transmitted on the network. So next one session layer. So this layer is responsible for establishment of connection and maintenance of sessions and authentication, and also ensures security. So after presentation layer we have session layers. So above 3 layers are, we can call it as software layers, and the bottom 3 layers we can call it as hardware layer. So software layers is nothing but whenever that sender device and receiver device will be acts like as a communicating device. So then within the communication device So these layers will be presented within that software. So these layers will be presented. So the next session layer is nothing but, so it is establishment of connection and maintenance of session. For example, we are organizing a program, so we are dividing that program into some of the session. That is, first session is introduction of participants, and the second section is so and so program will be run from this time to that time. So that is the maintenance, that is scheduling. We are scheduling each and every program based on the session, and the same thing will happen in the session layer. So next one is a transport layer. So this transport layer provides services to application layer and takes services from network layer. The data in the transport layer is referred to as segments. So whatever in the physical layer, the data will be converted as a bits, and in data link layer the data will be uh, in the format of frames. But in the transport layer and the network layer, the data will in the form of segment format. So it is responsible for the end-to-end delivery of the complete message. Transport layer also provides the acknowledgement of the successful data transmission and retransmits the data if an error is found. So whatever it provides the acknowledgement, and it will uh, transfer the information to proper network layer. Again that network layer will shift the information or transferring from network to data link layer. And it also responsible for if the any error occurred during transmission from network layer to data link layer, or transport layer to network layer. So it will again, that information will be
Sir, PPT రాట్లా.
transmitted at transport layer.
Hello, sir.
ఇది మళ్ళీ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది లేదా?
గోపాల్ సార్ కనబడట్లేదు వాయిస్ మంది.
పోయింది చూడు, మళ్ళీ పీపీటీ పోయింది. ఆండ్రాయిడ్ కానీ మా పోయింది, అది పోయి మళ్ళీ వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు వస్తుంది, ఆల్రెడీ మధ్యలో పోయింది. మళ్ళీ పీపీటీ చెప్పండి. టోపాలజీ, గీఫాలజీ ఆల్రెడీ ముందు చెప్తున్నా. ఇంకా ఫోన్లో తలకాయ నొప్పిందమ్మా, పీపీటీ వెళ్ళిపోవడం మళ్ళీ. అసలు వాళ్ళు చెప్పేది నాకేం వినపడ్డాం వినపడ్డాం వాళ్ళు చెప్పేది నేను చెప్పేది వాళ్ళకి వినిపిస్తుంది. So here the physical layer is the in a single format or one in single line. So here from the data link layer, so the data in physical layer that will be converted into as a bits, so that will be given to transmission medium. So at the receiver end, again the physical layer will receives the data. So the in that receiver also the data will in the format of bits, so that will be given to data link layer. So that is the main function of physical layer. So here the physical layer is responsible for movements of ఎట్టయితే చెప్పేది ఏం చేయాలి మేము చెప్పండి ఎక్కడ పోతా ఉంది ఏం చేయాలి బాగా ఇప్పుడు సంగతులు ఏంటి డిజేబుల్ చేసే ఇప్పుడు ఈరోజే నొక్కి దీన్ని నొక్కితే వాళ్ళ కంట్రోల్ ఉండదు అదే పీపీటీ నాకు తెలిసి ఇప్పుడు దీన్ని నొక్కా ఇక్కడ కన్నులాగా వస్తుంది దాన్ని నొక్కితే వాళ్ళకి లేదు నాకే యాక్సెస్ వాళ్ళు కూడా చేయొచ్చు అందుకే వాళ్ళు ఏదో చేసి ఫోన్ అందుకని ఇప్పుడే నొక్కా ఈరోజే మంది ఉన్నారు 61 మెంబర్స్ దాకా ఉన్నారు next one, data link layer. So here the data link layer is responsible for moving frames from one HOP, that is a node, to the next node, one node to another node. So here from the network layer, so here the frame, the data will consist so header format and the trailer format, so that will be transmit to the physical layer. So here the main functions of the data link layer is framing will done at the data link layer, and physical addressing and the error control and the flow control will done at the data link layer. So next one, next slide, next slide. And HOP to HOP delivery. Next one, network layer. So the network layer is responsible for the delivery of individual packets from the source host to the destination host. So next layer, source to destination delivery. So here one end system to another end system. So by using the hands, so it will transmit the information from one HOP to another HOP. So next one, transport layer. So the transport layer is responsible for the delivery of messages from one process to another process, one process to another process. And the session layer, so from presentation layer to transport layer, or from transport layer to presentation layer, so that the schedule, the information will be scheduled based on the synchronous process. That is nothing but the session layer is responsible for dialogue control and synchronization. So next one, presentation layer. So that will be done from the application layer to to session layer at the sender side, and at the receiver side from session layer to application layer at the receiver side. So that is nothing but the presentation layer is responsible for translation, compression and encryption. The translation is nothing but it is converting from one format to another format, and encryption will be done, it is nothing but encoding and decoding of the messages. So application layer, so at the sender side, the user or human or program, so that will be the formats will be converted as a message that up in sender. From the application layer, the information will transmitting to the presentation layer. At the receiver side, from presentation layer to application layer, so finally that will reaches to user or program. So in one word, the application layer is responsible for providing services to the user, for example, we can consider a mobile app, that is nothing but Zomato, Ola, so and so, that will be provide some services to the user, that is about OSI model. And the summary of the layers, summary of the all layers is so here వెళ్ళిపోతుందప్ప చూసి నెక్స్ట్ 8 వస్తే so the application layer to allow access to network resources, and the presentation layer, it is to translate, encrypt and compress the data, and the session layer, it establish, manage and terminate the sessions, and the transport layer, it is to provide reliable process to process message delivery and error recovery, and the network layer, it moves the packets from source to destination to provide inter networking, and data link layer, so to organize bits into frames to provide HOP to HOP delivery, to transmit physical layer to transmit bits over a medium to provide mechanical and electrical specifications to from sender to receiver and receiver to sender. So this is about OSI model topic. So I will continue in next class. So next class I will tell about TCP/IP protocols. TCP/IP, that is transmission control protocol and internet protocol. So thank you. అటెండెన్స్ తీసుకుంటున్నాను, అందరూ
Thank you,
అలాగే
sir.
ఉండండి. ప్రజెంట్ 63 మెంబర్స్ ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళందరూ అటెండెన్స్ తీసుకుంటున్నా. సో విల్ కంటిన్యూ ఇన్ నెక్స్ట్.
సార్ 64 సార్.
సార్ ఒకటి
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you, sir.
వి విల్ మీట్ టుమారో. ఎగ్జిట్ ఎందుకు నేను. ఓకే, మీ ఇంకా క్లాస్ అయిపోయిందమ్మా, లీవ్ అవ్వచ్చు. ఓకే.
Okay, sir.